Welcome back to Second Breakfast and our ongoing Summerween series, celebrating hot weather and horror movies by bringing you the best thoughts, theories, and literary analysis this side of 2012.
2012. This one's been a long time coming.
This film
excited.
has been on our list for so long.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
I'm
what
so
I was getting
excited.
into. I have such a history with this film. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a bucket list episode for me. Like the episode we just did on Hell House LLC. Mm-hmm. This is one of those. I mean, this year is kind of the bucket list of Summerween.
Right, because we finally have so much space to do so much Summerween.
Yes.
Because we're not trapped in House of the Dragon.
We have these lists going forever of things we want to cover on the show, and we're finally crossing some of those off. So I wanted to start with kind of my history with the film because I've watched this many times over many years, and you've only just seen it.
Yeah, I had never seen it. This was one that you'd always told me about, said it was so weird and fucked up and great and that I was going to love it. And just like, it just never happened. We just never watched it. And finally, the other night, we sat down and we had a great time with it.
Do you want to give your impressions first?
I was going to say, yeah, I really, really liked it. I'm going to get into why later on in the episode, but basically, I loved how gross it was and how unafraid it was to be gross. So I'm really excited to talk about that, but I know you've got some things we want to get into first.
Yes, and this was weird. This was a different process doing the notes for this episode because I had to go through the archive a little bit more. There was a lot of history here. And the place I wanted to start is I like weird shit. I've always liked fucked up, off-putting, confident, provocative art.
Yeah.
And I was rattling those off in my head, and I had like American Psycho. I've reread that book a lot. I love the way that's written. I love Mary Harron's version in the film version with Christian Bale. I think that's also fantastic. I read so much Chuck Palahniuk when I was a kid. I actually got to meet him at a signing. He was incredible. He was so nice to me. He gave me an arm.
That's right.
Whether it was, many years ago with My Chemical Romance or Marilyn Manson or Nine Inch Nails or any of this kind of... I mean, I remember the first time I saw the first Terrifier.
Right, yeah.
And just being obsessed with that Art the Clown design because it was so off-putting. It was so like wicked and nasty and screwed up, and I love all of that. I mean, even the things we've talked about on the show here. Sorry, Funny Games.
Oh, yeah,
That episode ruined me for a while. We saw the French film Inside, and I genuinely didn't watch horror movies for a couple months. Red Rooms, that we talked about a few months ago.
That was fun.
I like this stuff that is truly twisted. And that's really what I've tried to bring to the show, is that passion for stuff that people cringe and recoil from.
Right, and they're like, why would you watch this? Why would you want to talk about it? Why do you like it? It's so fun to talk about.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so excited that we're talking about Excision, because I think this film is a foundational brick in that wall of the art I love and the stuff I love talking about on this show. I remember seeing this movie for the first time on my laptop, and I think I was in college. I must have been.
You must have been, yeah, if this is when it came out.
And it blew my mind. And honestly, what is this, 13 years later? I've still never seen anything quite like this movie.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And it's not just the razor-sharp satire. It's an incredibly funny movie.
It's so funny.
But this is one of my favorite horror casts ever assembled. There are so many people I love in this. Malcolm McDowell and John Waters. And it's just it's so good. And the movie, it feels like a blueprint for a lot of the horror that we have fallen in love with over the course of the 5 years we've been doing this show. Because this is a viciously short film. And for us, the blueprint has always been horror should be 90 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And this is right on the money there. The imagery is staggering. The family dynamics are brutal and exaggerated, but also kind of hauntingly relatable.
I was going to say, that's what's so great about this movie, is it is simultaneously extreme and absurd, but you also connect with and relate to it so deeply, which is really interesting.
The script is so tight. And honestly, after we've watched so much horror over the last 5 years, and I've revisited almost every horror movie I've ever seen in that time. I think I can say now that Annalyn McCord gives my favorite lead performance in the genre.
She's so fantastic. She's got so much confidence. I mean, playing that role and playing it well, it's got to be so, so hard to be that vulnerable and gross and weird and ugly and just unsettling and strange. It's incredible. She does such a good job. Yeah.
It's funny. It's freaky. It's fascinating.
But she's not overdoing it. She's not over the top. You believe that she's that weird, you know?
And the film is unbelievably emotional.
Yes, it is. I know. It's like it's at the same time absurd and hilarious, but also so deeply moving all at once. I don't know how it is able to capture all of those tones, but it does it really well.
And another thing we've talked about a lot over the course of this show is endings in horror movies.
Oh yeah.
That they're either frustrating or boring, usually.
Right.
This has maybe my favorite unforgettable flyaway ending twist.
What a solid ending. Yeah.
And I think I want to build to that.
Okay.
Because in the 2025 context, not the 2012, I've seen some horror, the couple Conjuring movies
Right.
and The Exorcist and all the Universal movies when I was a kid and Boris Karloff type stuff. And I'd seen a lot of that. But for real, fucked up stuff that I'm talking about here, I wasn't that versed in that yet.
Yeah.
This was one of the first ones that hit me. But after 5 years of doing this show with you, this is also an excellent work of female body horror.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking back through our library over on Patreon. We've done so many episodes on female body horror. Like, obviously, lately we did an episode on The Ugly Stepsister with that Norwegian Cinderella retelling, which was amazing.
That was so much fun.
We talked about The Substance last year when that came out. But over on Patreon, we've also talked, and this isn't just an ad, but it's also an ad.
It's an ad.
$2 a month, support the show. It's cheaper than any other Patreon. We talked about Cuckoo with Hunter Schafer.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
We talked about the whole X trilogy individually as they came out. We talked about Azrael with Samara Weaving, which was so much fun and so gnarly.
It was.
We talked about a lot of David Cronenberg, particularly Dead Ringers and The Shrouds. Those both are female body horror. We also, in the main line early Breakfast Buffet Roundup episode, we talked about Immaculate, The First Omen, the Suspiria remake, Stop Motion, and Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, yeah. So this is like a topic that we are invested in.
Yes, we are well-versed in this.
And you mentioned Inside earlier. I mean, that's a great entry into that world.
We haven't done an episode on that, but I would rewatch it for an episode.
Oh, man.
Would you really? Screwed me up. Yes.
Wow. Good for you.
This is the thing. This is kind of the thesis. I like art that can affect me.
Yes.
Which means I like paintings that can make me feel something. I make comedies that really make me laugh. And for horror, I like stuff that fucks me up.
Yeah,
I want to be disturbed and scared. I want to sleep with the lights on. I like art that affects me.
Yeah, it's amazing that something like a fictional story that somebody just invented in their head is having such an impact.
It's a testament to human achievement and ingenuity and imagination. I like art that moves me, and that means I like a lot of the extreme stuff because I think that's the biggest swing in that field.
Sure. So where do you feel like this sort of falls in that world?
Well, it's interesting because of my history with it. I feel like this might have been my first encounter with female body horror.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe you could argue, and this is just a softball out there for my sister in case she's listening, Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
Maybe you could argue that.
Okay.
Because I grew up with all the Universal ones.
I haven't seen it, so I can't attest.
I mean, from the title, you can imagine.
Sure.
But I think this was my first real screwed up female body horror.
Yeah.
In the body horror, the Universal thing that was implied body horror.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? You need some squelchy stuff. But the question I wanted to frame these notes around is what type of female body horror is this? And what does it add to the subgenre? And I had to watch some trailers and pull images, and I was dancing around everything that happens here. And the elements it adds to the subgenre, as we've established it so far on the show, I think a big one is emphasizing the difficult relationship with the mother.
Oh, yeah.
And the jealous, loving resentment of the sister. But another big thing that I think you're going to touch on more in a minute is the violence of puberty.
I was going to say, it's about being a teenager. That's, I think, its biggest contribution here.
And there is commentary there. I don't think it hits it too hard, but it's enough to be kind of a wink and a nod at the camera. The line about the sociopath accusation of every teenager being a sociopath.
Yeah.
I think that is most of its critique of being a teenager.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's in there, with all of these almost interlude sequences there's no background. It's just our lead character with a black background.
Yeah.
It's this kind of theological disenchantment she's going through.
Yeah, all the scenes where she's praying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she has this ongoing kind of monologue with God throughout the film. So you've got suburban horror. You've got coming of age horror, and you have religious horror. That's constant. That's John Waters' whole character there, is that kind of church therapy that she goes through at the beginning of the film. So if I'm zooming back to the female body horror thing, I think the film directly engages with the idea, instead of just the subgenre label, the idea of female body horror. I think it engages with that idea more than most of the films we've talked about, because the central character is trying to kind of reclaim that idea and control it.
Yeah.
Because this is medical horror as well. And if you look at something like Dead Ringers, another medical horror that we've talked about, it's literal. The body horror is surgery.
Right.
It's surgical instruments that are the, I guess, weapons of that film. And the core motivation of this character is attempting to save her sister's life. That's why she wants to study and have a career in medicine. It's very, I mean, it's not A to B to C. It's A to B.
Yeah,
that's the
direct.
entire motivation.
It's very direct. Yeah.
And I think the kind of revelation at the end of the film transforms this almost into a work of grief horror.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that line in Succession of pre-grieving, because the whole family is aware that the sister is not going to live a full life.
Yes, right.
And our lead, Annalyn McCord, she's trying to extend that life. She's trying to
prevent that from happening.
Find some like impossible cure. So that it underwrites the body horror in the same way all the Cronenberg we've watched. There's so much under the surface of the splattery stuff.
Yes.
It turns the body horror of this film into a desperate act of love.
I see.
And 13 years later, after watching this film so many times, that's the bit that sticks with me. It's not the gorgeous surrealism, all those cutaway shots
with
so that
cool.
bright teal bathroom background, the amazing makeup and all the weird bodies.
Yeah, it's so
the,
cool.
Like raccoon eyes. And it's so, I love all that stuff. It's so cool. It's not the gore. It's not the satire. Those things all make it really enjoyable to watch. But the thing that sticks with me is these elements of the final scene. When you see the character, when the mom enters the garage.
Oh, man.
Spoilers for everything.
Yeah, sorry.
The warmth and pride that Annalyn McCord has when she's showing off her work. And particularly that hug, which between this mother and daughter, this dynamic, which is the backbone of the film, this is the only moment in the film where they connect.
True.
There are plenty of other missed connections. The mom tries bearing her soul on the couch, and daughter doesn't care at all.
Yeah, not at all.
This is their one moment of connection, and the way it breaks the film, the spell that's broken, kind of finally in this moment of connection, the way they both scream is absolutely haunting, because they're expressing different things, but it's very much related.
Yes.
There's this kind of choral element. Choral like chorus.
Yes.
I didn't think Walking
Coral
Dead.
Reef.
No,
coral.
But the thing,
I love the English language.
the one thing I cannot shake and really does bother me from this film is the mom's scream at the end that blows out the sound system, that blows out the mics on the set and breaks the film. It's exactly the same unnerving sensation I get by the way Robert Pattinson screams at the end of The Lighthouse.
Oh, yeah.
Which also totally clips and breaks the mic.
Interesting.
And builds this film to this unendurable, unbearable tide of emotion and anguish and regret and agony, all these other emotions, and the film just sails off a cliff and ends.
Because all the humor and satire is gone at that point. Like, and it's not as if like the humor was not good or didn't belong before. It's just that has ended. We have gone so extreme. Things have gone so wrong that element is no longer there. And I think the contrast just heightens all of it further. It makes the funny bits even funnier, and it makes this horror at the end even more horrific. Yeah.
It's crazy how hard it hits after numerous rewatches and so many years, because you'd think the shock of that twist would dissipate in the intervening time.
Because you know what's coming, yeah.
And it doesn't at all.
Oh, wow, that's
and again,
interesting.
We talk about how committed Annalyn McCord feels. I read some trivia, I did some research for this episode. She really shaved her head for that last scene in the garage.
That's very cool, yeah.
Like
good
that
for
level
her.
of commitment, we did an episode on we already recorded an episode on Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
That level of commitment I find so inspiring. It's why I love Jeremy Strong so much.
Sure.
I get that sense here.
Yeah.
That like rapturous commitment to this film. And I think it all shows. For being a short movie, it is devastating. It is so tightly wound.
Totally.
I continue to adore this film.
I do love that. And I think you're right. I think that sort of desperation and total like confusion from her at the end is so wrapped up in her relationship with her mother. I think it's perfect that you end on them together, like simultaneously, like screaming like you're talking about, like, because it's not just her wanting to save her sister. It's her wanting her mom to approve of her and, you know, love her as much as she loves her sister. And she also wants to save her sister because she loves her, but also so that her mother will love that she saved the sister. It's all about the mom. And I think that's so interesting and so perfect for a movie about being a teenage girl. And this is where I want to get into it, because like I said at the beginning of the episode, I loved how gross it was. And I think that the grossness of girlhood is what really carries this movie for me. And that's what I want to sort of dive into. Because you're right, the horror, the body horror in this movie is so upsetting and gross and visceral, and it sticks with you. But it's not just because of all the blood. I think it's simultaneously, one, it's happening to a teenager, which is like upsetting to watch something bad happen to a child compared to an adult. But two, it's because it feels so relatable. And it's not that I've ever like had any of these things directly happen to me, certainly, but
no garage surgeries in your past?
No, I didn't do that. But I think I'll sort of break it down. So I love Pauline's her character's name, right?
Thank you.
Pauline.
Yes.
I love Pauline's character because she's so absurd. She's so ridiculous. She's so gross. She's so awkward. She's so weird.
Mean.
And mean. But you get it, because I feel like a lot of us as teenagers, this movie captures this. There's a back and forth, a push-pull of you wanting to fit in, but also wanting to stand out and be cool at the same time. When you're a teenager, all you want is to fit in. You want to belong. That's really, really important to teenagers, is that they are part of the crowd and that they're not doing anything different or embarrassing, or, you know, they're not going to be called out by something. But at the same time, you want to be cool and individual and stand out. I think especially our generation, where we grew up with Disney Channel telling us to follow our dreams and to be individuals. And like, you have all these movies and TV shows where the weirdo, the outcast sort of rises to the top and is like the hero of the story, and that being popular and conformist is like bad. And so as teens, I feel like our generation is sort of constantly battling with, I want to fit in, but I also want to be cool at the same time. And I think Pauline sort of really does that. She does not fit in at all in school with people in her grade. She doesn't even have friends. And you see that being difficult for her, and her, you know, everybody laughing at her. But at the same time, she knows she doesn't fit in. And so she is really cool and weird and edgy instead. But it's so much so that it doesn't work for her. She's not this cool hero. She's instead so gross and awkward, and everybody hates her. And they're like, what is wrong with you? Because like in reality, when you as a teen try to be cool, you just end up embarrassing yourself and looking awkward and weird and gross. And that's what's happening with Pauline. And I really liked that. And I think what's great about Pauline is she at least has the confidence. I would have killed for that kind of confidence as a teenager, because I wanted to be cool, but I was not cool at all. And that's fine. I'm fine with it now. But at the time, I really wished I was cool and strange and like had cool, unique interests and like was better than everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
But she's only cool when she's being mean and antisocial.
Well, exactly. She's cool to us, but she's not cool to the other teens.
No, she's cool to the audience.
Yes, but not to her peers. And that's what sort of makes her this like really awkward outcast. But more than just like the social aspect of it, I mean, what's really getting me about this is the sexuality element, because she is simultaneously grossed out by and entranced by her own sexual desires. The movie opens with this dream she's having where it's her looking at herself, and one of her selves is bleeding from all of her orify, and the other one is sort of watching this and clearly having a sexual response to this, and she wakes up. And the whole movie is like that, where she is so overpowered by and overwhelmed by her sexual desires, but she doesn't know what to do with them. And they are, in her subconscious, they are disgusting and weird. And she's like afraid of it.
And thrilling.
Yes, it's thrilling and exciting and gross and scary all at the same time. And when you're a teenager and you're experiencing those feelings for the first time, it is so confusing, and you don't know how to handle it, apart from like the whatever complex upbringing you experience where you repress or don't repress those things. Even apart from that, you just don't know what to do with it, right? Because you simultaneously, like, you want to be an adult, you want to have adult confidence and adult experience, but you're not an adult, and that's scary to you, and you don't really know what to do with it. And I liked that this movie really hones in on that and helps you sort of make sense of that, because she is really confused this whole time. She, you know, calls up the guy and says, hey, we're going to have sex at this motel. And she does it, but it's really like in her fantasy head, like we're flipping back and forth. In her fantasy head, it's like it's beautiful and it's like borderline pornographic and it's like super overtly sexual and beautiful and enchanting, and then it
stylized,
right, and then it cuts to reality and it's not quite as fun and it's kind of weird. And then of course she's on her period, but the guy doesn't know, so then there's all of that mess, and then he leaves.
That's part of it for her. That's part of the excitement, like when she cuts open the bird. That's alone. The only thrill she gets from that is when she starts eating the blood.
Exactly. And so, like, of course, I as a teen was not cutting open birds and eating the blood, but I was still confused by, like, all of us are confused by, and it, like, I don't know what to do with this part of myself that I haven't really fully understood and don't know how to safely and comfortably explore. And it's very confusing. I feel like often in media, we see teenage sexuality sort of displayed in two ways. It's like you can go down two paths. You're either Megan Fox, and you're basically an adult in a teenage body, and you have full ownership over and understanding of and confidence with your sexuality, and you know how to use
Euphoria.
It. Exactly. Yeah. Every teenager in Euphoria. Exactly.
Teenager in their 30s.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or you are the nerd virgin who has no idea how to have sex, is afraid of it, and whose like journey over the course of the movie is ending up just at the precipice. Like the nerd virgin doesn't have sex at the end of the movie. Instead, they gently, you know, G-rated kiss the boy that they've loved the whole time, and that's it.
The final girl in the Victorian onesie.
Exactly. Yes. Like they don't actually like go any further than that. Like there's no in between. But in reality, like adolescent sexuality is so much messier and grosser and scarier. Even if you as a teen are not participating in sexual activity, you're still having all the feelings, and you don't know what to do with them.
Sure.
I like how much this movie really suggests or overtly tells us how much Pauline is masturbating. Like it's not just that she's having sex with all these guys at school. It's she has all these sexual desires and she like is trying to figure out how to act on them in all these different ways. And like I think that's the messiness and scariness of teenage sexuality. It's very confusing.
That frustration is kind of bursting at the seams.
Yes.
For as short and punchy a film as it is, it has an incredible amount of subtext. Yes. And I think that's where you're getting at, because there are so many surreal moments and almost threads between all of those cutaway shots. And those are all telling us so much about her fantasies or the things that are happening off screen.
Yes.
It's a rich text. And I like that you're rooting it to our generation, because I think this is very much a millennial experience. Yes, this is universal. I mean, it was written and directed by a man, but you're talking about how accurately it portrays the female experience.
Yeah.
But I do think the one limitation is this is a millennial experience, because there's no like internet in this.
Sure.
The phone is used for calls occasionally.
Yeah.
I like how much I think you and I can relate to this story as a product of our generation. And maybe that's part of why we relate to it more.
I think that's a big part of it too. And I like, as I sort of like suggested earlier, the connection with the mother is so interesting, because when you're, I mean, I don't know what it's like for people who aren't girls, but for me, like as a teenage girl, so much of what you're...
Not now, but in the past.
Yes, not now. I am not a teenage girl anymore. Thank the Lord for that. But when you're growing up, like there's a special connection you have with your mom. You want your mom to love and approve of you, but you also want to prove that you don't need your mom and that you're better than her. It's very, very confusing. And that's what Pauline is dealing with, is she wants this approval of her mother, but she also can't stand her mother, and she's nothing like her mother, and she doesn't want to be like her mother. And so when you're like, when you tie that to your sexuality, like what you want as a teen is you want to be treated as and seen as an adult. And so you want to have like ownership over your own sexuality and agency and independence. But at the same time, you don't want your mom to know that about you, because that's weird and it's not allowed and you're not supposed to do that. And so you have to hide that part of yourself. But then also she involves her mom in, like, her mom helps her get ready when she's going to go, you know, study with the boy. The mom knows they're not going to study. I don't know if the mom knows they're going to go to a motel and have weird sex, but the mom knows they're not going to study. And so the mom helps her put on her makeup. She helps her get ready. And so
the makeup is so clumsy.
Yes, right. And so not Pauline.
It's such great design. It's like set design.
It's so perfect.
Stuff.
So she's like helping prepare her for this journey into like womanhood, but in this complicated, messy way. Yeah. And so I love how tied up that is. Like, it feels like Pauline's journey through this movie is like this wonderful depiction of the absolute messiness that is being a teen to like the absolute extreme. She's got these like horrific sexually explicit nightmares. She's wrapping up her sexual desire and agency into her own self-worth, and then at the end it's just all about proving her own adult self to her mother. Like, I just think it's such a great depiction of that. And I like that it didn't shy away from, being a teenager with like sexual interests and desires is very gross and messy and weird. I think we talk a lot about how gross it is for teenage boys. You know, we talk about that all the time in media. We don't really see how gross it is with teenage girls. And I really liked that.
Not to that level of grossness.
Yeah.
You're right.
I really appreciated that, that representation. I thought it was totally. Really fascinating.
It's all exaggerated subtext. It's surrealism serving those kind of impossible, unwieldy feelings that you have at the time.
Yeah.
It kind of, I like the kind of stalemate you're describing. It reminds me in a silly way of Buster in Arrested Development, where every time there's a flashback, like of him at Mother Boy, where he still has to go to this pageant with his mother.
Yes.
And the way they do flashbacks in the show is they just put silly wigs on the same actors.
It's so funny.
So it's him like extremely tall in his mid-30s with this big like floppy teenage
playing
boy
like
haircut,
a 14-year-old
looking all like pissed and dour and moody, and that kind of, I don't know, that intersection of identity when you're maturing. I mean, adolescence being this turning point. This whole movie is locked in that transitional period, and I love how they change Pauline's hair and makeup. I mean, the way, even just the fact that she has this like messy, dirty,
and her hair is so gross, awful, the whole movie,
and it's brown in the Pauline version, but in this kind of flyaway surreal version, it's this blonde.
Right.
And all the girls who bully her in the movie, except for the one that she kidnaps, but most of the ones at school who bully her are blonde. So there is so much under the hood there. But I love how they do kind of split these abstracted identities,
definitely,
and represent them on screen.
And I like showing like how scary the adult part of yourself is, because like one of the things I like about
the mother's blonde too. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
that's
she is.
A big part.
You're
of that.
So right. Yeah, but the end of the movie where Pauline has done all this horrific damage, like the whole movie is extreme and exaggerated, but at the same time, a teenager could conceivably do all the things that Pauline does. She kidnaps her neighbor and knocks her out. She knocks out her dad and ties him up, and then she performs this botched surgery. Like, that's what's so scary.
Killing the neighbor.
That's what's so scary, and the sister. That's what's so scary about a teenager is that they have childlike understandings of the world, but they're in much like closer to adult bodies and have adult capabilities and can have real adult consequences. Like that's what's so scary about it, is that their brains aren't fully done. They're not a fully formed adult, but they can do a lot of things that adults can do. And so that's what makes them so uncontrollable. And that's what the mother, of course, is struggling with, is I don't know how to control my daughter. I don't have any, power over her anymore because she's this small adult, but she's still a kid inside her head, and I don't know what to do with that. It's horrifying.
And there's a wonderful push and pull with the sociopathy of teenagers, with how selfish she is, how self-involved, how self-destructive she is, but also this underlying core motivation being, I want to save my sister's life. To go back to the hair thing with the split identities between the blonde and the brunette, the last scene of the film, she shaves her head.
Oh yeah, so it's just gone.
And she does think about how she looks and is she attractive to other people. Her shaving her head is kind of an ultimate dedication to the sister. That is a prioritization of someone else above her own vanity or future or any, sexual gratification. She's totally wiping that away for the sister on the off chance that one hair can get in and like corrupt the lung,
Right, yeah.
So there is this, I think that's part of what stuns the mom at the end. I think some of it is seeing her daughter apply herself to something. It's seeing Pauline really work at something and be proud and invested and sacrificial.
Yes.
I think that's part of it, because obviously there's a terror and a grief, and one of my daughters is now dead.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of pride in there too. There's love in there too.
And she can see what she was trying to do. She admires not only the dedication, but the sentiment of, I'm trying to help our family.
You're talking about this kind of experience that you're bringing to it as someone who was a teenage girl, but also as someone who's just seen the movie for the first time, hasn't been chewing on it for 13 years.
Sure.
What did you make of what was going through their heads during that hug at the very end of the movie?
A lot of shock for both of them. I think Pauline has not really realized what she's done until the mother hugs her.
Yes.
Because at first she's happy with it. She thinks she's done a good job. She's pleased with what she's done. You can tell she's struggled to do what she's trying to do. You can tell
the garage door is covered in blood.
You can tell things haven't gone well, but her mother arrives and she's like, finally, my mom's going to be proud of me. My mom's going to approve of me and love me for who I am and what I've done.
Like she finally has a good report card to show her mom.
Right. But then the second but then when she goes in to hug her mom, she realizes, oh no. And so I think it's like, and I think that's when the mom realizes what's happened kind of immediately, but I think it's when it kind of hits her. And I think it's the mom sort of realizing, oh, this is the only daughter I have left. And so she has to like hold on to her at the same time. Because at first you would think, especially given how the mother has treated Pauline for the whole movie, you'd think she would cast her out and send her away and, send her to prison and like disown her. But instead she holds on to her because she's her only daughter. And like, that's the saddest thing. Yeah, it's a really powerful moment at the end.
And I love that we don't see one frame after that.
Nope.
That we don't see who gets arrested or what happens to the
bodies. And we don't even
see
see the dad because the dad's not important.
No.
He's like still struggling to get out of his ropes, like it's about the mom and Pauline.
It's such an explosion of that relationship without being an easy or simple resolution of that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not satisfying, but it's a release.
Yes.
Is that how it hit you?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
It's a stunning film.
It's really quite excellent and so strange and weirdly shot, and the lighting is really interesting.
Everything's
and just the
so
colors.
Flat. Yeah. The colors in the background. Nothing looks like this. I find it so engaging.
It's a really excellent film. I can't recommend it enough. It's so weird. It's so gross.
What a performance.
I'm a big fan. Cool. Well, this is fun. Thank you for joining us for this installment of Summerween. We got a lot more horror coming your way the rest of this summer. Please check out our other episodes of this Summerween series. They are just ones we've been putting out every single week. If you're on YouTube, we've got a horror playlist, so you can find all of our horror discussions over there, Summerween and beyond. Also, you can check out our Patreon that Cam plugged earlier. We got a lot of female body horror over there, along with a bunch of other things. The Patreon's $2 a month. You can get 2 bonus episodes every month, plus access to the whole back catalog of bonus episodes. Also, if you want to support the show, you can check out Cam's latest book, Lemon Tarts in Space. It's a light sci-fi dark comedy. It's got a lot of horror and grossness in it, but it's also very fun and goofy. You can read it as a regular book, or you can listen to the fully produced audio drama. It's a real treat. Thank you very much for listening. Please comment below on what you thought of Excision, what you thought of our discussion, if you're on YouTube. If not, you can just send us an email, secondbreakfastpod@gmail.com, if you're not in a place where there are comments. Otherwise, we'll catch you here in just a few days with another brand new episode.